Today's video is sponsored by Hit Point Press and their Big Bads, new campaign-ready monsters each and every month. Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we're talking about the Avarice Domain Cleric. This is from MCDM's Arcadia number 5.
Yes.
So if you're new to the channel or the series, what we're going to do is go over all the abilities gained in the subclass, then we're going to rate the roleplay, combat, and synergy based on how the abilities gained improve on the base class abilities.
Yep.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to be entered in our D&D Beyond Players Bundle giveaway.
This free stuff is wonderful.
All that being said, let's get right into it.
First of all, we're cleric, so we get free spells, and we're going to get a couple wonderful ones at that. Starting off with Identify. Clerics don't normally get access to that, so love that. Shield of Faith, Enhanced Ability, Magic Weapon. This third level spell is it Haste?
Yes.
Haste, got it. Protection from energy, freedom of movement, stone skin, dispel evil and good, and greater restoration. So some of those spells normally clerics have access to, but they're always prepared for you here for free, so you don't have to worry about spending your prepared spells for the day on some of those.
Also at level 1, we have Profit Motive. Divine Assistance is most efficient when it synergizes between the Avarice Cleric and whomever they deem worthy or capable enough allies. After choosing the domain at level 1, when you cast a domain spell on an object or another creature, you can replicate the effect on yourself or an object you are touching without the need for additional components. If the spell requires concentration and your concentration ends, the spell ends on both you and the other creature or both objects. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. Regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So it's kind of like a free twin spell.
Yeah, pretty much. Next up at level 2 is your Channel Divinity option for Object of Desire. When you are attacked by another creature within 30 feet of you, who you can see, you can use your Channel Divinity as a reaction to project an illusion of whatever the creature desires most from your holy symbol. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or become stunned until the end of your next turn. It specifies that the player or GM can roll a d10 on the Object of Desire table to determine what the creature most desires, or the GM is free to invent a craving. Savvy clerics take note of what illusion appears, wielding the knowledge of a creature's desires against it should they cross paths again.
Yeah, just a note on that is if it's obviously an important character, the DM probably would already have some kind of thing for that.
Correct.
If it's just some random NPC, then yeah, the table would probably make more sense.
But I do like the fact that it kind of throws that in there as like a little plot hook kind of thing.
Yes.
If it happens to be a recurring something, you know,
right.
Knowledge.
Level 6, we get Divine Kleptocracy.
Yes.
You can take spells affecting others and twist them for your own use. When a creature you can see within 30 feet of you is targeted by a spell not cast by you that requires concentration, you can use your reaction to duplicate the spell's effect on yourself. If the spell ends for the other creature, the effect ends for you at the end of your next turn. Once you use the feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest.
Next up is the one of two abilities you always expect to see when you're doing a cleric subclass. This one is potent spellcasting, so you do get to add your wisdom modifier to your cantrip damages. Fantastic. And finally at 17 is the Avatar of Excess. When you use your Profit Motive to replicate a spell's effect, you can choose to have that spell not require concentration. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. So it's once per day, but you can just choose to give something haste and
yourself haste and not concentrate
on it.
Seems all right.
Seems good.
All that being said, those are all the abilities gained in the subclass. We'll move on into the rating portion of the video. First up is the roleplay asterisk, as always.
Asterisk as always.
Talking about roleplay, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside the initiative order. Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background. That's on you as a player. Can't rate you, but we can rate the abilities gained in the subclass and how they might improve your potential in those role play scenarios.
Man, I think you got it all right. I don't think you missed any of it.
So, all that being said, looking at the actual abilities on here, you have some decent spell options on here for some roleplay.
Very solid.
And the nice thing with that too is you can duplicate the effects, which of course has some great synergy.
Yeah, take that, sorcerers, and your twin spell shenanigans.
Yeah, so like Alex said, you have haste you can do, even magic weapon, enhance ability, freedom of movement. I mean, stone skin, all kinds of things that can have some unique options that you otherwise would not normally be able to do. One thing that's kind of fun and sinister is the Channel Divinity, being able to learn someone's motives or deep dark desires. So even if you just use your Channel Divinity to learn about a creature so you can blackmail them, or for example, could definitely come into some roleplay for sure. And then, of course, again, being able to copy someone else's spell is really interesting as well. Just being able to take that effect for yourself, and it lasts until the end of your next turn, even when it ends for the other creature, so you still get some effect for it. Say, like, if a bad guy, goes and casts Greater Invisibility, and you steal it, and then your party member goes and hits him, and he immediately drops it, you at least have,
still have it
for your turn, at the very least. Yep. So it is nice that you do get some benefit of it. There's a little bit of bad luck protection on there for it. That being said, it really focuses on the duplicating effects there, and that's really it. And it does require spell slots for that too, even though our duplicating, it's kind of like getting a twin spell.
Yep.
But when it comes to the roleplay side of things, we went with a 3 out of 5 just because typically you have limited uses for duplicating. So duplicating stuff is gonna be nice to do for roleplay, but it's probably going to be more effective in a combat setting.
It is, yeah, for sure. The one thing I do want to specify, I know we read it, but just again to emphasize on it, is that with the profit motive thing, the spell requires concentration ends, it's all there, but you do not need the additional components.
Yes.
So for some of these spells that require expensive components of that, like a Greater Restoration, for example, no extra components. So that's fantastic. Yep. On the combat side of things, again, it's like what Jameson said with the RP stuff. It's still the same thing with combat. It's very much built around the copying extra spells. You have access to more spells you don't have access to as cleric normally, like haste, for example. But being able to target 2 different things with that, and eventually not have to require concentration when you do that, because really it's the biggest drawback to the cleric spell list, aside from the lack of attack roll cantrip, is that you have so many concentration-based spells. So the fact that you can twin a buff spell like a haste or something like that, and not have to require concentration, so it's going to be up for the full minute.
Right.
That's wonderful. The potent spell casting is what it is. Just brings up the floor of your damage a little bit. Nothing exciting, but it is what it is. And the fact with the divine kleptocracy, you can not only grab like a friendly spell cast on another ally, but you could actually steal, like Jameson said, an enemy spell that's cast on them, and they're like, oh, I'm going to give myself some wonderful buff. I was like, hey, you know what? That sounds nice. I like to do that too. The drawback to the way this is designed here is, again, the number of limits. There's a lot of limitations to the amount of times you can do it, like,
what spells you can do.
Yeah, what spells you can grab. Spells. Yeah, it's you got a feature that's a once per short rest feature. One is wisdom modifier per day, and then your capstone is just once per day. So there's definitely some potency with being able to cast extra spells without having to use spell slots. Again, take that, sorcerer. But sorcerers can do it a whole lot more times because they have more sorcery points than you do uses of your abilities in here. So because there is great potency here, but there's a very strong limit to the number of uses. It was a 3.5 out of a possible 5 on the combat side of things.
And that's going to kind of transition over into synergy as well. It's kind of falling into the same main things. Again, very limited on here, especially with the duplicating effects. Yes, it is very potent for, like Alex said, stuff like Greater Restoration, not needing to use material components for the duplicate effect. But at the same time, you need to have you would have to be one of the targets and someone else. So if you're not affected by it, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. So there is that kind of necessity for those kind of things. And also, you can only duplicate the effect on the extra spells that you get. So it is a small pool of spells, and there are some good options to duplicate effects for on there. And it is wisdom modifier, which, I mean, you're a cleric, you're going to want to cap that out. It makes sense too. So 5 times a day it's probably going to be enough. 5 spells to duplicate a day is probably going to cover most all of your days of adventuring. So it's probably fine, even though it is limited. The Channel Divinity stuff, sure, I mean, it's all right. The stun, it's never going to be upset about stunning something.
No.
But there's other things that you can do with your spells. I mean, I don't know.
It does give you a use for your reaction. You do get to use your Channel Divinity multiple times, per short rest.
Yes.
I mean, eventually multiple costs per short rest. So it is one that does scale up against other things that I've talked about, either with lower level spells or lower level abilities. Are they still viable in later in campaigns?
Yeah.
That's still viable all the way to the end.
Absolutely.
Now, you try to hit one of these big fat dragons on the board with that. They're probably going to succeed the saving throw, A, because they cheat and they have legendary resistance, but B, their saving throws are going to be high enough that they're probably not going to fail your stuff all that often against saves. Again, the challenge of being a cleric and druid both, a lot of saving throw based spells.
Yeah, a lot of casters, yeah. But I guess the good thing is it is a wisdom save, which does
it's your meat
save.
It's your meat stat. It's a decent save, yeah.
So that's nice, and again, too, even if a creature like one of these dragons uses a legendary resistance on an ability like that, you're never going to be upset. Versus like a 7th to 8th level spell.
I mean, you upset about it.
You're always upset about legendary resistances. Let's be honest.
That's correct. Let's be.
So
you and warlocks is the extra spells is your thing.
Yes, legendary resistance.
For me, it's legendary resistance.
Yeah,
I hate that it exists.
Yeah, he's been
legendary resistance should be reworded to let whatever has it re-roll the saving throw, not automatically succeed the saving throw. That's it.
Anyways,
there's my soapbox. I'm off of it. We're good.
So all that being said, on here went with a 3.5 on synergy as well.
Yeah.
It has some good options for what it has, but again, those limitations do have to be factored in on here.
Cleric is also one of the hardest classes to synergize with because besides their spells and their channel divinity, there's not much else to synergize with.
Right, exactly. So it kind of falls into that kind of same old. It's not doing a whole lot. It's not really.
I mean, of the
enhancing or deterring
14 to 15 clerics we've done at this point, I think 10 of the 14 are a 3, and then all but 1 or 3.5 or 3.
It's hard because there's not a lot of things. A lot of the stuff has to come from internal synergy, which I mean, there's some in this, but again, heavy limitations. There's a cost for that.
Yeah.
So living with what we got here, but an interesting kind of gold and greed themed subclass. This is one of 3 subclasses that are focused around this theme in this Arcadia. So stay tuned for more of those. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you know when all of our new videos are coming out. Check out our sponsors in the link down below.
Yes.
And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks to our sponsor, Hit Point Press, and their Big Bads, bringing you a new boss each and every month. Paragon the Weathermaker is October's big bad. Can you ground Paragon, or will the Weathermaker cloud your judgment? History, lore, everything you need to throw these villains into your campaign.
Create some fun opportunities and unique things to throw at your most experienced players would not see coming.
So check out the link in the description down below.